loved ones watch on Bowlstream TV on YouTube if they want to watch live. Good luck and good bowling.
And good morning, ladies and gentlemen, as the official Bradley Open now underway with a squad qualifying. Here on Bowlstream TV, Emil Williams Jr. here with you this morning, and I took a lap just to get a true sense, just like you kind of always do when you take a look at the Bradley, especially the first squad out. Kind of see what's moving and shaking out there on the lanes, and it looks Bradley. It looks like the Bradley. Great venue, new venue, historic venue, but that lane condition, that part, the formula certainly has to change, at least on the surface here early. Tournament Bowl is going to be your wonderful resource this weekend for all of the standings and results. I'll get that link for you here in a sec. Take a look at Chad Roberts. And Chad is always someone that you can get a good idea of what's happening. Make your spares. Certainly, you try. I mean, you try to hit the 1-3 or the 1-2. I did see a couple of groups. I really should say pairs. I think the official number this morning might be 50. And of course, we're taking 50 to the advancers round tonight. So this squad might move at a much quicker pace than it might normally move. But I say quicker in relative terms because there won't be a lot of strikes still. But with that said, I did see a couple of pairs trying to kind of break down a little spot or burn up a spot. Over on 11 and 12, got a couple players just kind of, again, throwing it right at the 1-3, give or take. Actually, not even using a lot of surface. Got a couple of past champions, Tracy Lambert, Jeff Faribault in this squad. With that said, as we watch Chad here, do want to welcome into the booth this morning. He's going to hang out for a little bit today. I'm used to seeing him compete, especially at this tournament, because he is someone who enjoys the challenge through and through. So I know it's eating him up, but this is the next best thing for him, if you will. So we welcome in Daniel Ferris to the booth this morning. DQ, how you been, man?
I've been well. I appreciate the opportunity to come up, do a little bit of broadcasting with you today.
Well, you bowled this tournament a gazillion times.
Probably every year since 2009.
Your first thoughts, like just first impression, you're obviously not bowling, but to me, and I've seen it now 5 times,
okay,
it looks Bradley to me. What about you?
It certainly fits the category of the Bradley Open. The one thing I would say, just watching up and down the house, is it also looks like the first year that we had the tournament after Eastland closed and it went to Ken Bowl, and then the first year that it was moved from Ken Bowl to Executive, in that it takes, Jason puts a lot of blood, sweat, hard work, and tears into this event, specifically the pattern. But there's so many variables when you move bowling centers. You're changing, a different environment within the building, lane panels, types of synthetics, all that good stuff. It'll take him a year to get it dialed in to where he's happy with it, I'm sure. It's hooking a little bit more than, what it did the last year or two at Executive. But it's still the Bradley. You're still seeing bowling balls go straight and back up. So it's still going to be a challenge, even if there's a little bit more hook than we're going to see in 2027.
Straight and back up. The words of the day.
And I will clarify, my bowling ball would not hook on any variation of the Bradley pattern.
Yeah, that tracks.
So,
I needed that early this morning.
Well, I'm on cup of coffee number 2 for the day. So I'm wide-eyed and bushy-tailed right now.
Well, I appreciate you hanging out.
Yeah, for sure.
Right before you hopped on, I was talking about I didn't anticipate seeing Trevor Roberts here, but Trevor is bowling, and I saw him trying, just trying to carve up as much of a spot as he could, and especially with 2 on a pair. It made plenty of sense to try to take advantage, and get off to the best start you possibly can, and also create a little knowledge base as he continues on.
So you say surprised to see him here. I assume is he in the U.S. Open PTQ?
Well, I don't know. I'm going to check. We had some players who were bowling the PTQ or are bowling PTQ, but they only bowled yesterday. They bowled singles, they bowled doubles.
And doubles, okay.
And today is their travel day to Indy in preparation for the PTQ tomorrow. Now, with that said, that would mean that Trevor has a direct entry, to me, if he's here bowling.
Correct, and I would think he would.
He had a pretty good year.
Given his year last year, yes. What he made, I know he made 1 show. Did he make 2? I can't remember, but he made a show and had a good year. So I would expect him to have a direct entry.
That's the. I mean, if you can parlay that into the U.S. Open,
whether it's a Bradley win or just a great showing, make the top 8, make the bracket, going into the U.S. Open, that's got to be a confidence high that you can't fake that.
He is direct entry, and he also does not have to bowl the pro-am, so he is good.
That's what Jason and I were talking about that a couple weeks ago. I stopped into his bowling center, J-Town Strike and Spare, down in Louisville, and we were just kind of chatting and talking about the Bradley and the roster and stuff like that. And he said that he was hoping that we'd get a decent number of U.S. Open, direct entry guys, because the pro-ams were 4 and 7 on Sunday. The 7 o'clock would be no issue if they were to make the top 8. I think Indianapolis is a couple of hours, across 70 from here. And then the 4 p.m. guys, they could potentially, maybe move it around if they needed to. But he was hoping that the U.S. Open wouldn't affect it too much, but the PTQ guys, of course, they're not going to be here.
Yeah, it's about an hour and 44 minutes. There's 74 from where we are right now, from our location to Woodland.
Okay.
With that said, though, yeah, you obviously got to put Trevor on the list. He made a run a couple times, I feel like, within the last like 5 years or so, I would say, at this tournament. So the number at this time, I'm going to double check it again, but it was announced that it was exactly 50, and of course 50 are taken to the advancers round tonight. I anticipate B squad to have a few more, of course, on it.
The unofficial number, I talked to Deanna in the tournament office. She said that it's around 80 for this afternoon. So big cut coming on the on the burn.
Man,
I don't know if you can call it that.
Today was that day. Get on up and bowl A squad.
Well, but that's the way. I mean, even going back to the first year that I bowled this event, that's almost the way that it's always been. Is A squad has less players than B squad because the guys that they think they can bowl B squad and have a better chance of making the cut if they're seeing their ball hook. The way that I looked at it is if you bowl B squad, you're probably not going to see the lanes that dry, quote unquote, for the rest of the event. So I wanted to see fresh in the morning. Plus, it was a chance to really just do some ball testing. You know, if you're a decent spare shooter, you can do 5 games worth of ball testing in the morning if they're only cutting a handful of guys.
Taking a move or look at 11 and 12 as soon as I can find who exactly is on 12. But it looks like it's going to be either Alex Neal or Mike Hufstetter. And this is Mike here. Mike had the nice game brewing, and he was someone I was talking about who was just kind of throwing it at the, tossing as best as he could at the 1-3. Right, lets one get away from him for a little bit.
I mean, that's certainly a way to do it. I mean, just throw it at the one. No, I don't almost say throw it at the 1-3. Roll it at the 1-3 for sure. I'm just wondering what the over/under is going to be on 5-7-10s.
So he's got a chance to get into the 220s with a double, but again, here you take the 2-0. Don't even be upset with that frame. Even next door, decent start, actually really good start. And Tyler Ring, who won the double shootout last night with Bryce Oliver. Cross and carry. All right, it's a nice makeable spare.
In this event, a makeable spare is almost like a single strike.
We'll have coverage from lanes 7 through 18. We'll check in on 7 through 10 in a moment here. Each group's finishing up a little quicker. And there's been a few more strikes, so you understand the situation in that. Jeff Fair, who is on 5 and 6. Well, he's just kind of doing Jeff Fair stuff. He's got the 4-bagger, about set to close it out.
A couple missed makeables to start, but like you said, 4-bagger. Would expect nothing less.
Always said one day I'm going to bowl the term. One day.
Well, if we would have coordinated sooner, this could have been your year.
You're right. So Mike here is going to be in the 2 teens to get out of the gates. And Tyler Ring's got a chance to kind of upstart him.
You only knew how many capybara I had to evade to get this pure water.
I appreciate my guy Devin Stewart.
Only this.
Been a fantastic help. Oh. Nice game by Mike here. 218. write that game down and pay attention to see what pairs might give a couple of extra scores or two. I didn't see a lot of trying to break down pairs, at least in our zone here. I didn't also see 3, 4, 5, and 6. The lanes in front of me, I didn't see a ton of that. As I worked my way toward the higher end, I started to see a little bit more players, or a few more players. You certainly heard the scratch. Unfortunately, miscue there for Tyler. You heard the scratching. Right, it's not quite the DJ scratch. It's the low grid Abralon or Scotch Brite scratch.
The bowling ball screaming scratch.
on the bowling balls.
Yeah.
But I mentioned Trevor, and I forgot who he was bowling with on his pair, but collectively, they were trying to make that pair as friendly as it could be.
Yeah, and I saw the same thing you did as I was walking in from the center, the bowling center, down towards the low end, is guys on the higher end were more kind of gravitating towards 10, between 5 and 10. And then as we got down here to where the broadcast booth is at, we've got guys that are trying to fade 4th arrow, guys are on top of 3rd arrow, guys between 2nd and 3rd arrow, a lot of different ways to attack this. But if the field doesn't really get on top of one another, and it won't be really an issue this morning, it'll be more of an issue tonight when they're looking to make that cut to the cashier's round.
Why is that?
Well, our complaint, I say our complaint, right-handers' complaint every year is that the left always hooks, the left always looks good. It was the case at Eastland, it was the case at Kimball, and it was the case at Executive. But I think a big part as to why that is you've got right-handers between board 2 and board 17. The lefties all kind of just gravitate to the same area of the lane. Even though there's a lot fewer of them in the field, they still break down the same area of the lane, the little 5 to 6 board area, which I think does help them. I think that's a small reason as to why the lefties do have a decent look at the Bradley year in and year out.
Just got, or at least saw my favorite question. Shout out to JP, watching from Las Vegas. You remember JP from your Bowl TV days?
I do.
Shout out to JP. I just got our favorite question. What's the pattern this year? I was telling Devin Stewart, who joined me for the doubles last night, about that is legit my favorite viewer question at this tournament. And because, thankfully, you get a lot of we get new viewers, right, who just want to watch bowling. Thank you for subscribing to Bowlstream TV, by the way. If you have not, please do so. And hit the thumbs up on this video while you're at it. And then they watch the tournament. They see he's certainly pretty difficult, and then ask a normal question. And then we give what is a Bradley normal answer. It's the Bradley pattern.
That's all it is.
That's all it is.
I think one year, this might have been 3 or 4 years ago, Jason, we asked him if he could provide any details about the pattern. He never did, but what he did tell us was that a couple years prior to that, the pattern was only 44 feet long. This thing plays like it's 60. It was only 44 feet long, but the volume was near 50. So there was a higher volume number on the pattern than the distance, which is not something, you see anywhere.
So on the bottom right of your screen, Tyler Ring, I believe, is waiting for the 6 pin to be added so that he could properly shoot a 3-6-10 in the 10th frame. Jeremy No shot 164. Again, high score in the zone right now, 218. Let's see if how Jeff Fair finished up. He shot 200 even. 200 even for Jeff Fair.
Chad Roberts throwing heaters off the outside.
And it started very well for him. Obviously, the red circles are really the story. I always say, go ahead.
Because every red circle is on an even frame, which is going to be the left lane he's finishing on right now. He figured it out in the 8th with a strike, but 3 splits before that.
Today's skip is very different. I think it goes 2, 3, 4, 5 with regard to the amount of pairs. that player skipped. So I think it starts with 2, then moves to 3, then after the next game, then the 4, then the 5 to essentially close it out. Higgy knows the pattern. He's experienced. He's watching. Had a good run last night in the doubles with Newt McClellan. Good spare from Tyler, especially after waiting.
Well, 4 splits on in 5 frames on that 1 lane for Chad, but with it being an even number of 50, it's not going to affect him as far as making the cut tonight.
If you were bowling this squad and that was the situation, right? As long as no one snuck in late and we don't know to be the 51st bowler,
right?
How would you approach this squad? You know, with the understanding, okay, you're essentially on to the advancers round, but you know there's plenty of knowledge to gain through the 5 games. So how would you handle that attack?
I mean, we're going to walk in here, you know, most players that are coming to bowl this, that are coming to compete, coming to cash, coming to win, are going to walk in 10, 12, 14 bowling balls. So if I know walking in, I've got 5 games, there's going to be no cut, I'm going to advance to tonight no matter what. On paper, I'm going to want to throw 1 ball or 2 balls every game for 5 frames each. If 1 ball starts to look really good, then I'll put it up maybe quicker than 5 frames. If I think a ball needs more time, I might throw it 6 or 7. But as a plan going in, it would be 1 ball, 5 frames, then ball change. Of course, starting with stronger stuff, more surface earlier, and then as the squad went on, if I felt it was necessary, maybe get into smoother stuff or weaker stuff, even though those terms really don't exist in this tournament. I will say, though, I've had all of my success at this event not throwing a bowling ball that's been rubbed on the concrete outside. I live in that like 800 to 2,000 range.
Okay.
The motto that Dad and I came up with early on at Eastland was, I'm not going to get the ball to hook. Anyone who's on the stream that has watched me throw a single shot, you know I don't hook the lanes very often, and certainly not on this. So I'm not trying to get the ball to hook. I'm trying to get it to hit. I'm trying to hit the 1-3 and get the 8-10 out.
I would like to dispel the notion that Daniel does not hook. I would like to dispel that.
Well, the way the game has went in 2026, I mean, I hook the ball more now than I did when we met.
I mean, the 2 to 4 board increase in the rev rate is magical. So don't sell yourself short.
I mean,
you might have hooked it more when I met you.
You know, you're right about that.
With one hand. Taking it down to 9 through 12 as they are underway with game number 2. A couple of questions over on 13 and 14. And if you have a question, the best thing obviously is to ensure that you ask.
Uh-oh. And that is the Bradley. And Jeff turns around, just kind of smiling on his face. That's the Bradley. Off his hand, that was probably like an IQ 78, I think was his spare ball. You know, 999 times out of 1,000, that thing gets to the 2-pin. This is the one time it just wasn't going to get there.
And I think he missed the 2-pin in his first shot in game 1.
Okay.
Thank you.
I think it was the same way. Now, I saw it on an angle, but he missed it just a few inches to the right.
Mm-hmm. I thought Jeff was going to have one more opportunity to shoot 2-pin by itself, but of course that ball just did not want to get up to the 1-3. Now looking at Luke's comment in the chat, okay, no concrete. I mean, hey, I lot of guys that does work. I'm not saying don't do it. I I'm just saying that I haven't had success with it. But the other part of that is the fact that I grew up, the son of a pro shop owner, and Dad made sure early on he didn't spoil me with lots of bowling balls. He taught me to treat my stuff nice, and effectively, if you're going to take screen to a bowling ball, or you're going to hit it dry with 180, for an event like this, you're effectively, in no simple terms, you're ruining the ball. You can bring it back from doing all that, all that grinding on it, but it does affect the cover of the ball. So I just never did that because I didn't want to ruin my bowling balls. I tried it a couple times at Executive. All the ball did for me was lock up in the fronts and never hit.
You hear the stories every year about, and I forgot who told me that. It might have been Luke yesterday. Someone mentioned a story yesterday about, it might have been someone, he witnessed someone actually placing their ball on actual concrete.
And just...
Yes, in place of a Scotch-Brite or an Avalon pad. I've also heard plenty of stories. I heard one today, actually, this morning, about players who have a Bradley bag. These bowling balls only see the Bradley, right? They probably got 2, 3 that go back in the basement after the tournament is over, and they will bring them out next year with maybe 1 or 2 differences.
I think the first year that it was at Executive, Steve Novak put one of his bowling balls actually on the ball spinner and hit it with screen on the ball spinner. And you could run your nail across the cover of the ball and feel the grooves that he had put into it. And I don't know if you were at the Hoosier the year this happened. It was when the first year that Mike Dole was on our team, and it would have been my junior year because we had all the Brunswick stuff. That was when we signed the Brunswick contract. He took a Fury Solid, and I don't know what he hit it with, but he hit it with something with a lot of surface for the long pattern at the Hoosier. And his very first shot, the ball hits the lane and goes dead right into the gutter.
Wow. Steve's
ball with screen on the ball spinner at Executive at the Bradley did exactly that. Hit the lane dead in the left gutter. Well, we ruined that ball for no reason.
I mentioned Tournament Bowl is going to be the home of your scores and results here this weekend. In fact, if you want to go back and look at what took place yesterday with doubles and singles, you can. I will get you the standings link with respect to A Squad today.
Who won the singles yesterday?
The singles was won by Andrew Carpenter.
Very nice.
Had himself a very good day. Won singles and then essentially finished in that 3rd, 4th spot. He lost in the semifinals in doubles with his partner, Mr. Mossbarger.
It's a nice, profitable Friday.
And results are already being entered into Tournament Bowl as we speak. So let's get that link to you in the chat.
And shout out to Paul Sesteric for offering to help out with that and get that done.
Yeah, Paul has been great. Nice to meet him. Starting to see a little bit more ball motion. Daniel, is it just me, or do you think my eyes are deceiving me?
Well, when you see as much surface as we saw throughout was it 10 minutes of shadow practice, I would assume?
10 minutes.
Okay. That's a lot of shots to go down the lane with that much surface. And I will say that when I walked in the middle of shadow, Sam DeWitt, who we've got over on 13 and 14, walked up and he said, I did not expect him to hook this much. And I kind of laughed, but he was serious. He said, I'm throwing a Zero Mercy, but I think is a stronger hammer ball solid. He said, and I don't have like any crazy surface on it. It's just, my regular surface.
Again, Jeff Fair, James Sinclair, Sam DeWitt, and Owen Spellacy over on 13 and 14. Jeff Fair, of course, one of the best to certainly do it, certainly in this area, without question. Himself another Eagle 2023. He's bringing me back to my my days starting at the Open Championships, watching his group with Ken Abner, who was also bowling.
Yeah, I think it'd be safe to assume that Jeff's had a decent amount of success within the four walls of this building itself.
Yeah, his name's on the plenty of times. Behind us sits the I tried to describe this yesterday, but it's the list of champions in bronze. It's a very distinct and really cool, especially if you enjoy like history, that lists all of the champions of the Hoinky Classic, the Super Hoinky, and then the Hoinky Classic Scratch Champions, the Handicap Champions, Squad Team Champions. And Jeff's name appears a few times. One item that was talked about yesterday that I actually had forgot about. No fresh oil for the rest, well, I should say for B Squad, and then also the Desperado or the Re-Entry. So it is fresh today or this morning, then burn this afternoon, then double burn if you would like to bowl the Re-Entry.
And that's just the Desperado, right? It's 2 games or 1 game?
2 games.
2 games, okay. I could not remember what it was.
Scores are up. And I'll give you the top 28. See if we can fit that on the screen. But Michael Mossbarger, 229. Josh Lewis, who shot 279 out the gates during the single shootout, shot 224.
I'll say the number is lower than I thought. If you had said 50 players in the field, how many are going to be plus after game 1? I would have said 10. It's only 7. So for those of you watching for the first time, we do not overstate the difficulty of this event.
That is correct. Quick look next door while we take a moment and look at the scores. Right side of your screen, again, Michael Mossbarger, 229. Josh Lewis, 224. Mike Hofstetter, we saw his 218 on 11 and 12. Tyler Ring, 206. Jacob Herring, 203. Nolan White, 201. And Jeff Fair, 200 even, as we talked about.
When was the last time you bowled in this bowling center?
I was talking to Devin about that. I think it was 2013-ish. I did bowl a Hoinky. I think this was the only time I bowled the tournament. That was the last time I was in here. Before that, though, we'd have to go back to our collegiate bowling days.
The good old Bearcat Open, I think that's what it's called?
Bearcat Classic. Yep.
There we go.
Filled with just hundreds of collegiate bowlers. I understand that the tournament had still been going on, and I think within maybe the last 3 to 4 years, it sounded like, that the event was no longer being held, at least in this building.
That was a unique event for us college players in 2 different aspects. One, it was for us, it was the first tournament coming back from Christmas break. So you're off the competitive collegiate lanes for a month, and then you come back to a tournament. They always ran a house shot.
They did.
And
I don't think it was the house shot I watched yesterday, though.
No, I would think it's probably evolved.
That house shot was nice.
Probably evolved a little bit over the years.
I want to bowl on that.
But if I remember right, wasn't the Bearcat you bowled head-to-head against your
yes.
Swiss format?
Yeah, there were points involved or something like that.
Yeah, because one year, I think it would be my sophomore year, Brandon Cornell, a lefty that was on one of our teams, shot 299 and lost to a 300. And the following year, the tournament director had a bad beat plaque for him and presented it to him.
Oh, I remember that.
Yeah.
Well, there were plenty of high scores yesterday. again, the nice house shot, it looked good. I would bowl, definitely enjoy bowling league here. Mike went down over to 17 and 18, and he's hanging tough. Keep an eye on his progress to start. Jeff Fair trying to get it to wrinkle just a little bit. It does. 5 games, only a couple on the pair, so the pace will be quick here this morning. B Squad is scheduled to begin at 12:30 p.m. Eastern Time.
And it looks like most, I'll say this, the pair in front of us, 11 and 12, is not, but most pairs are doing it like a tournament style, where one guy bowls the first frame and then they alternate 2 frames. Nice little half pocket crumbler there from James. All the years you've been watching and broadcasting and covering bowling tournaments, had this thought, would you agree that, let's say in a format like this, 5 games, that the biggest drop-off from game to game is from game 1 to game 2? Because my thinking is game 1, you've got 10 minutes of practice, an entire game. Game 2, you don't know who you're following, what you're following, and you're so ingrained in what you had first game that it may take that entire second game to figure out what you're on.
For the most part, I also see it at every level too, really. So that does track, especially, you know, a lot at the collegiate level, because you are trying to, you know, get comfortable quick, and sometimes that may mean getting to your whatever the comfortable spots are as a team, and then you spend that time, and then but you see the opposite as you go to a different or new pair. Chris Bird is on. He's actually on
7 and 8.
lane 7. So let's take a look. $10,000 guaranteed to the champion. That will take place, of course, tomorrow. Got a long way to go. Curious for those who are watching and those who have already kind of commented, where would you play? And this is for the audience. For those who want to engage, you certainly don't have to. You probably got breakfast on the table and coffee in hand, and enjoying what you can before your day gets fully going. That's a good shot over on 9 and 10. 9 and 10 was a pretty solid pair, and obviously we're talking about 2 different lane conditions. Now these lane panels we talked about yesterday, about 2-3 years old now. New pins also.
New pins?
New pins.
When were they put in, and do you know?
I do not know. Do not know.
That would be diabolical, putting in new pins for the Bradley.
They are new though.
That would be.
That's what I was told.
Oh, that would be fantastic. As a viewer, that's fantastic. As a competitor, that just makes your task a little bit harder.
I think there's some pairs that
that's a better shot off Will. I thought that was a better shot off Jeff's hand. A little bit left here in front of us.
it did look pretty solid. I think there's some pairs in here that yeah, despite the pins, I think some kickbacks, sidewalls, etc., or allowed some pins to kind of maneuver a little freer than some others.
I've watched players my entire career maneuver pins around the pin deck. I haven't done it, but it's fun to watch when those guys do.
7 through 10 is complete. Chris Bird. Be because it's not 1 or 2, I'm going to assume position 1 is A. We had a couple of 150s over there. 181, 176 on 9 and 10.
I'm looking down at 3 through 8. I don't see. That's like 3 and 4. One guy could be pacing plus, but directly in front of us, 160, 140 to our right. Now pacing 170, 180, 140, 140. And it, as far as my eyes can see, it doesn't get any better as I look down to the right. A pattern like this, you spend practice in game 1. Let's say you and your partner on the pair are carving up 10. You go to game 2, and the guys that bowled on that pair never touched 10.
Quick look down next door. Final shot there. This is our guy Mike, who started with 218. He's got a game in the 130s, and the Bradley is Bradleying. Where would you put this in your old school scale, if you will, right? Because I feel like we saw, and we, it's a very general term. Obviously, we are of a certain age, and so we didn't really get a chance to see what truly was old school. But hearing just stories across just bowling and being in this industry for as long as now as we have, you know, more scores or lane conditions like this, maybe not obviously to this extreme, but a lot of longer or higher volume, longer pattern lengths in that sense. What do you think?
I mean, this tournament, for me, it gets put in the same category as what I used to hear about the Bud Light Challenge up in New York. It's Coldwater, the super regional up in Ohio, here in the central region for the PBA. That's kind of where I put this event, is put it with things like Coldwater, the Bud Light Challenge. I'm not, you know, something that's more recent is the Snowman Doubles in Oklahoma that Steve Novak and I bowled.
Yeah.
It's something very similar to this, only they do things between Saturday and Sunday that make it even stupider for us on Sunday. So I put it in that category. It's grind out. It's old school, low scoring. Make your spares. Make your spares. Make your spares. Today's scoring pace, not today like this Saturday, but in the game in general, you know, a split in certain scoring paces can completely derail the entire game. You know, a couple splits could derail the entire block. An event like this, splits are going to happen. Opens are going to happen. You just deal with it because you know, hey, if I open but I throw a double, I'm right back on it.
It's a great shot there from Sam DeWitt, talking about keeping it online. I mean, that thing was straddling 17 down the lane. Good question here from Mike watching. And Mike, I assume this might be your first introduction to the Bradley Open. And so it's everything that you say. You cannot see the pattern. There are literally only 3 people who know it. And that's the same every year. That's by design and on purpose. What a finish by Sam.
Good finish.
Heck of a game. A clean 189. I'm sorry, one open 189. I thought he made that spare or split in the 9th frame. Even still, that's a nice 189 game. Maybe one of your finer 189s that you would see.
Yeah, split converted in the 4th, a 6 spare in the 6th frame. 6 spares are not very common in this event. If you get 6, you're probably going to get 2 or 3 on that next shot.
So our 7 through 18 zone for a few seconds is obsolete. And because we've got some folks and some players now making the trip down from the the high end down to our end here, we should have a few bowlers getting going here in a moment. But you're skipping 2, then 3, then 4, then 5 pairs after each game. But to finish it up, Mike, yes, pretty high volume. You know, I think it's generally in the 40-ish range with respect to the lane or the length of the pattern. I would say somewhere between 41 and 44, maybe even 45 sometimes. This is a guess. I do not know and have not known, and this is my 5th time doing this tournament. With that said, though, it is the volume. I think that is the main difference, the big key, the major key. So you can't throw it right, you can't throw it left, unless you've tried to create a spot to do that. But as Daniel was just talking about, we were talking about that when you move pairs after each game, right? We talk about players trying to get off to a good start in game 1 and taking the time to try to carve a spot, but the likelihood of that spot being at the next pair is not very high.
It's not. Now as the day goes on, more balls have crossed the paths of each lane. It's going to be a little bit more uniform, but that jump from game 1 to game 2 is one of the more difficult. This is one of the more difficult transitions in the country as far as tournaments go.
I'd like to say, I've seen a lot of people have success kind of trying to fall back it, like just a little bit, almost like what Jeff was doing on 11 and 12. Get into a roll earlier around, 4th arrow-ish. You just wanted to, and you mentioned the 5, 7, 10 zone. You leave yourself open for that, from that area, from that angle. But I have seen some carry from that aspect. Now, again, some of the differences here for me, I'm looking forward to, just seeing how things play out at a new venue, right? I am used to seeing, just like a lot of players, obviously, used to seeing certain things and understanding certain pairs at executive. Now they've got to get used to seeing the same things here. Well, speaking of extreme angles.
Yeah, you mentioned fading 4th arrow. Nolan White over on 9 and 10, his first shot to open this game. Fall back. From this angle, it looked dead on 4th arrow, or in that 3-board range, and just plastered the 1-3. Similar area of the lane on that shot. Didn't quite, I can't believe I'm going to say this about the Bradley, but he didn't quite get that ball far enough right. But he left himself a makeable spare. In our viewing window between lanes 3, like our viewing window here in the booth, and roughly 22, there was not one game over 200, that block. So E went down and got some video. Nolan laying it down somewhere left of 6th arrow at the foul line.
I definitely think so. Take it back here briefly, but I'll watch Nolan on lane 10 here in a moment. Nolan is crossing with Tracy Lambert. Talking about past champions.
2-time?
Yeah, I believe it was 90. I wrote it down. 94, 95.
Back to back. That's a pretty tough feat right there.
And he too in the middle of the lane with respect to zones. Speaking of Tracy. From Hendersonville, Tennessee. Just wanted to get a little bit of the head pin. Well, as much as you can, but again, if you're going slightly away from me, you just need to try to kick it just enough. Mix them up a little bit. If you're just joining us, A squad on the lanes here at the Bradley Open. The always difficult Bradley Open. Emil Williams Jr. here with you. My guy Daniel Farish hanging out with me for a little bit. That's a good break. It's a good 9. Nolan knew that one when he let it go. B squad will hit the lanes at 12:30 p.m. Eastern time.
Tonight's Cashers round, 5 or 6 games? I cannot remember.
It is 5 games according to the schedule. Cashers round tomorrow, 6 games in the morning.
That's the 6. Okay. I knew there was a 6 in there somewhere. I just was blanking on it. The format of the tournament's been pretty uniform ever since I bowled it the first time 16 years ago. You'd think I'd remember.
Well, we got a new, well, Mike, hey, man, make sure you, the things you should do right now, Mike, you want to bowl, which is fantastic. If you love a challenge, this is certainly one you want to bowl and put on your calendar. Great shot, Nolan. And I'm going to keep it locked here for a minute and watch Tracy. You can kind of see the contrasting styles, how they're electing to attack the lanes. But both, of course, clearly having success, at least here in Game 3 to start. But you should go follow the Bradley Open Bowling Tournament Facebook page. So when it is time next year, and it's generally in the month of February. The date does tend to move around, at least it has in the last few years because of other events, trying to make sure that everyone can eat, if you will. One time the NBA All-Star game came to Indy, which affected the Hoosier Classic, which then moved its date to what would normally have been the Bradley Open date. So then the Bradley moved.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, whenever the
interesting.
Maybe it was 2022-ish, something like that. But when the All-Star game came to Indy, that set off kind of a chain reaction.
Which I'm guessing the issue there would have been hotels.
Hotels,
was that the concern?
Was one, and then I think also you do get some collegiate bowlers, obviously, who do bowl the Bradley, and it's generally after the Hoosier, right? Because they're not bowling prior to the Hoosier, generally just because of the way the dates fall. Mm-hmm. But I remember that happening. So it's generally in February, but that's the first thing I would do. Go follow that page, and we can get up to date on when the new dates or next year's dates are announced, and probably the venue too as well. But I'm thinking experience has been pretty good so far.
Another reason to follow the page is generally it was in August. I think it was August in 2024. I think in 2025 Jason put the post up in September or October, but he'll do an early bird special where you can get in like $225. But a much reduced cost from what the full entry is. And that's limited, 15, 30, not a big number. And those spots generally fill up quick. So another reason to follow the page is to get that early bird notification.
Well, how about Tracy Lambert? I feel like he's got just enough surface. But you don't win this tournament twice without knowing a thing or two.
Correct.
Pretty impressive what he's been able to do. We'll get back to those two in a moment. Now on 11 and 12, we got a little plastic going down the lane. And I know when we think plastic when you hear that, most folks be like, oh, it's plastic going down the lane. It's obviously going to create some effect. Depending on what you're bowling on or where you're bowling, plastic going down the lane could be a good thing. You're trying to create a little hold. I think what's happening here on 11 and 12 is, I'll catch his name in a moment. He's just trying to get to the headpin.
Eric Smith.
He's trying to get to the headpin. Well, we got 2 Eric Smiths on that pair.
Well, I thought you meant the gentleman that was bowling that shot that turned around.
No, Eric is, I don't know what Eric was throwing, but it didn't look to be plastic, but
that looks like a torpedo direct hit.
His crossmate is definitely throwing plastic.
I believe that torpedo is like a non-urethane type of ball.
And he might make it.
Got it.
Nicely done. Nicely done. So right now the story through 2. What we just watched and have been watching, Nolan White, Tracy Lambert over on 9 and 10. Makes me curious. We'll check the scores here in a moment, and you can do so as well by clicking the results link, which is pinned. Trying to finish out some good games here. You got Chris Bird and Colton Abbott over on 15 and 16 right now. Game 2 is officially updated. I just got the notification.
It is. Tournament leader after game 1, Michael Mossbarger, followed up with the highest game 2. He's going with 229, 227. But game 2, we only had 3 games that were plus. Mossbarger at 227, Richie Capadia at 212, and Nolan White at 209.
Where was Tracy at in the standings?
Tracy went 168, 164.
He's going to change that here in game 3.
Working on a 3-bagger in the 5th, 6th, and 7th.
Over on 13 and 14, both players there off to good starts also. So our zone is figuring something out here.
We've got a 210 working over on 15 and 16. We got a couple games that could be in the 210 plus range there. And as I say, that chops the 10 off the 6. Still 198. Right about even.
So Daniel, you kind of hinted at it a little bit earlier, but so now we are, almost 3 full games in, 2.5 at this point.
Good shot.
I think you mentioned, you didn't say surprised, but I felt like you said something with respect to the word surprised. I could have misheard you, but anyway. I also asked the question, anything surprising you through the first couple games?
No, everything looks pretty par for the course. Nothing looks incredibly different than what we're used to every year. The scoring pace is about right. I think it was two guys or plus, 2 bowlers or plus after 2 games. That number might be a little bit lower, but if I haven't looked at the B squad roster, the B squad roster could be a little bit stronger than this one. This one may be lacking a little bit more talent than the next group coming up. But everything looks about right. I have not seen in front of us, or I just haven't paid attention, any left-handers.
Yeah, I don't think we have, but I can tell you that Michael Mossbarger is left-handed.
Okay. I did not know that. Lefties always have a good look at this tournament. Man.
Well, I'll tell you what. Again, this is with respect to the house shot. But watching Andrew Carpenter, watching Bryce Oliver, watching Michael Mossbarger, there's someone else I mentioned, but I mean, the left and the right looked very good all day yesterday. Two-time champ. Got a little aggressive right there on that shot. I think, to me, this type of event is the hardest to show patience. And
Absolutely.
I'm saying that from the, you catch a double and it's like, okay. You could instantly try to move ahead before you should, right? As opposed to just remaining, the cliche in the moment and truly taking what the lane or the pair is giving you. When you can catch a double, it's like, okay, I can catch another double. Like that, I can get that head pin to shake a little bit. I can get that 7 pin to kind of wiggle and get out. And then that's when you leave, something crazy, take 3 off the right, you get ahead of yourself, and then you make a mistake.
So story time about what you just said. I don't remember what year it was. It was around the 11, 12, 13 range, 2011, 2013, somewhere in there. Bowl in the Bradley. We're at Eastland. It's Sunday morning, Cashier's Round, Game 6. And I doubled in the 8th and 9th. And I was sitting in 10th going into that last game, trying to make the top 8 bracket. I doubled the 8th and 9th. And I remember thinking to myself, I exhaled, and I was like, all right, I think we got it. I think we're good. I left a bucket in the 10th. I don't remember if I made it or not. But as it turns out, had I struck the 10th, I make the top 8. But I got that double in the 8th and 9th, and I relaxed. And I went, all right, man, great double. Great double. But I didn't stay on edge. I didn't stay on the tip of my toes. And as it turns out, it cost me making the bracket. You cannot relax in this tournament. You cannot get upset over a bad frame or the bad stretch of frames that almost everyone has. You just got to put it in the rearview mirror and keep looking forward, which is much easier said than done.
Taking a look at 11 through 14. I talked about 13 to 14 being pretty decent at the moment. Also see Eric and Evan. He's talking about Evan and throwing plastic, trying to just get it to the head pin. Need something makeable. Players certainly trying to create shape. Some doing it with angle right now. It's a good quality spare. Next door, Nolan White, who started very well with the split in the 7th frame, so he's down to that max of 203. Tracy Lambert can still get to 223.
Nothing crazy going on down 3 through 8. That's the Bradley for you. He liked it, he aced it, he fist pumped. Blower 5 pin. Gives me a thumbs up back here. I mean, I've walked out a couple of 5.7s in this event, so I completely get it.
I'm not going to lie to you. I've actually seen you do that.
Hey, when you ace it, you think you ace it, man.
I'm not upset about it. I mean, you did the right thing.
Yeah.
I would have done the same.
I mean, hey, that shot you saw, I knew that I struck. I didn't know that I wasn't going to strike. You know, back to your point with Evan Freudemann in front of us throwing the plastic, you know, you see that put on the rack in league or a regular tournament, you just shake your head and you're like, man, this is going to mess the pattern up. Nothing's going to mess this pattern up. And Evan is clean through 7 frames.
I mean, if you got your spare shooting shoes on, I think I heard Ricky Carroll say it today, this morning. He bowled well, too, yesterday across the events. his goal was, obviously make spares today.
Yep.
I like how he's doing it too. And it's angling away from the head pin.
I don't know if this is the right comparison, but to your point, kind of angling away, it's kind of like what we see from like a player like Vu Dong, or like some of the spinners that we see overseas, just trying to get that light shaker hit and just trying to make the pins dance.
Vu did bowl the Bradley, right?
Yeah, he was on my Facebook memories a couple years ago.
Okay, I was talking to, I think, Devin and Rob here, and they mentioned Vu, and they were talking about him with respect to the Hoinky. And I was like, I'm pretty sure he bowled the Bradley within the last 3 years or so. And I'm pretty sure he made the cash run, too. I could be wrong on that, but I felt like he was really close, if he did. Take the lane out of play.
Oil pattern, what's that? He has some of the best jerseys in the game. Oof. Very well thrown shot.
That's we've got Donald Derlin and John Gilbert over there. And if position 1 is A, Donald would be A, John would be B, if that's right.
I believe that's right.
Mr. Lambert is going to be in the 2 teens with good count. Take a look at that spare here, back next door. Those are the ones that hurt.
There you go, Eric. A little swisher strike in the 9th.
Lambert's final shot. He'll take it. 208.
Oh, love that.
Out there, 5. Give Daniel Parrish his hits.
Tomahawk that 5 pin. Little fallback action from John there, striking the fill, 195. A couple 190s on that pair. 9 and 10, you got a 2-0 and a 180. 190 to 180 down on 5 and 6, so scores a little better in our viewing range this game. Wow. It might be too early to say Evans onto something, but he's clean through. I don't want to assume a spare, but he's going to have a clean 190 right here.
Well, let's see where he is in the standings after 2. Evan. He is 176, 176.
17th.
Feels like par for the Bradley.
Which would be, if he was putting those numbers up, he'd be good for a cut.
And again, most important, right? The strategy doesn't work unless you make spares.
Correct, yes.
And he has done that certainly here in game number 3.
Only ever having watched him for 1 game. His spare shooting looks to be pretty good. The only concern I would have with what he's doing is leaving makeable stuff. But he converted 1 split. He did have 3 8 spares up there. He's good on the multi-pins. I'm going to kind of follow him along the rest of the day and into tonight and see what we see from Evan. 194 clean.
We'll put an asterisk on.
I like that.
Right, young Evan's name here. As you said, someone to follow. Speaking of following, I hope you are following Bowlstream TV. Please follow him. Please subscribe if you have not. Next week I'll be in Wisconsin. Got some very cool youth bowling going down. The Wisconsin State High School Tournament. They have one of the best formats that I've seen. With they got singles, or the finals, I should say, of the singles on Sunday, boys and girls, and they got multi-divisions, both boys and girls team. It's a great day, filled with a lot of Hall of Famers and a lot of folks' favorite player, favorite professional, Daria Payonk, will also be in attendance, and she will be a guest in the booth.
Awesome. On
Sunday as well. So, many haven't heard, or they have heard from Daria via social media. Of course, she went through a very significant elbow injury, and she has been, very open with respect to her recovery journey and how she's handling that with respect to bowling. So, won't get too far into that, obviously, during the broadcast, but we will bring it up and allow her to talk about where she is. I'll be joined by ESPN Madison's Jesse Nelson, who will be on the call with us as well. So subscribe. And then what else we got coming up? Texas Ironman in May. Actually, another great youth event. $60,000 in scholarship money.
Oof.
For a youth event.
The Texas Ironman?
No, this this one is going to be I believe it's called the Iowa Youth High Roller. It's got a high roller-ish like.
Okay. Well, if you have
aspects to it,
you got that name in the title. You gotta. I mean, 60 grand for a youth prize fund. That's some serious money.
Yeah, it's man, they have done a fantastic job with that event down in Decorah, Iowa.
We made a couple trips to Iowa for some youth stuff back in college.
It is the High Roller Scholarship Tournament.
Nice.
Out of Kingpin Entertainment Center. Again, $10,000 to the winner of the boys division, $5,000 for the girls. So if you have a youth bowl, I will repeat, it's in Decorah, Iowa, and it will be April 24th through the 26th. I'll be there for you on the call with Bowlstream TV. Thanks to Vern and Russ and everybody at Kingpin and Brandon Steen for being involved in this great event, and the sponsors of that event. Again, $60K of prize money, $40,000 in added scholarship dollars. The top boy will take home $10,000 in scholarship. Top girl will take home $5,000. That's what's coming up for me on Bowlstream TV. What's coming up for you in Game 4? We do have bowling on 13 and 14.
Keith Schooler and Lance Morris.
It's interesting when we talk about moving pairs and players throw that first shot on the new pair, and then you watch their reaction as they return from the foul line, and you can just kind of peek into their minds for a moment. And I'm wondering, how different or similar, right, is this lane, this pair?
This is a tournament, going back to your comment about patience, where this tournament almost forces you, whether you want to or not, to wear your heart on your sleeve. You know from the instant that ball leaves their hand if they liked it or not. On a house shot, if you don't like it, you're probably going to strike. If you do like it, you're probably going to strike. In this event, if you don't like it, you are not going to strike. And if you do like it, you still probably not going to strike.
Josh Lewis is now joining us here as well. And right now, Josh, excuse me, not Josh. Josh Weems is not bowling. He's bowling the PBA Junior. Josh Lewis is bowling the Bradley and has a 631 after 3.
Is that leading? Well, I guess not all scores are in yet.
All
Okay.
scores are not in yet, so we'll have to, first of all, you got to know what Michael Mossbarger shot, because he was leading. He was 56 over after 2.
We will see Michael game 5 on 9 and 10.
Well, I look forward to that. Trevor Roberts is next door on 9 and 10.
Whoa! What in the world?
Woo! Woo! Woo!
Wow!
So
Wow.
they just said it struck down there.
That thing straightened up before the arrows.
Wow.
Clip it. My goodness.
Oh my.
And there was no way the ball was going to hook on the spare to no fault of his own. That when your ball does that the first shot, what are you going to do in the second? What move do you make?
Wow.
Okay, so lane 11, is it the same?
I mean, what do you do?
You laugh.
That's tough. Boy, this is we're about to get a lesson in bowling. Really at the Bradley,
Yeah.
because maybe Josh. Good Lord. I'm gonna have to text Josh now. But perhaps Josh is leading. Maybe, we don't know yet. But he's 31 over after 3, including a couple of big games. He shot 224, 235 game 3. So he's coming off 235. This is what he was greeted with.
So I'm going to ask this question because it is a squad. We're not cutting anybody. We can have some fun with this. Is he plus after this game? Because based on the first 2 frames on this pair, I've said a small prayer for him.
Well, I've watched him bowl now several times. And I'm going to say yes.
Okay.
And I'm going to say that because I did correctly predict the cut score for the Fairchild single shootout.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm on a heater.
Okay.
So I'm going to say yes. Good Lord.
Man, I'm glad I was looking up when that happened.
That was violent. It reminded me of the story you just told about Steve and putting the Scotch Brite or whatever it was on the spinner and watching his ball go. What'd you say? Took off the 7-pin?
No, I went dead to left gutter.
Left.
The only difference was on that, Josh was at least throwing that to the right. Steve was just went up the boards on the first shot of practice, so he wasn't giving the lane away. So it was gonna get to the left gutter.
Oh man!
But Josh is almost did. See, Trevor Roberts just left of your screen. We've got him on 9 and 10. We were talking about him earlier. Be competing in the U.S. Open next week up in Indianapolis, direct entry, so he gets to come have some fun with us here in Cincinnati. You mentioned Ricky Carroll. He's over on 15. He just plaqued an 8-10, and I heard him turn around and tell somebody, I liked that one too. Sometimes you can throw a good shot and still not strike.
This is this tournament and just watching the chat to me has brought about some questions with respect to ball surface.
Mm-hmm.
And it just seems like there's some legitimate or legitimate questions about the use of surface. And I think, you know, we got some really talented players. I've got one in the booth, of course, and Daniel. So from the surface aspect, I have watched players kind of pick up more knowledge, especially those who might be a little new to the game. As we watch Josh Lewis, oh, that's got a hook. And you know it's not hooking.
No.
Didn't quite stick the landing there on that one either, and now he might just throw it at the head pin and get away from this pair.
Just get off this lane.
Where does surface, or how does surface play a role in our sport? Like, how do you use surface? Give us some real life use cases. Take the Bradley out of play, because this is very unique, obviously. But it does bring up the question for those who might be curious about, you know, how much is too much surface and things of that nature.
How much is too much is dependent on what the pattern you're bowling on. But the simple way that I would say it is when bowling ball doesn't hook, bowler gets scared. When bowling ball hooks, bowler gets comfortable. Every bowler wants to see their ball hook. So whether you're bowling on a shark pattern, which is a higher volume PBA pattern, whether you're at the Bradley or whether you're on a house shot in your local league, if you can get your ball to hook, to slow down and go left for us right-handers, you have a better chance of striking. So bowlers will adjust surfaces depending on many variables, whether it's the pattern, the bowling center they're going to, the lane panels they have. Some guys will go as far as to determine what, you've got Gen 1, Gen 2 Pro-Am lane, you've got HPLs, SPLs, you've got all kinds of synthetic surfaces. Some guys know that the ball they have might need more surface on one panel and less surface on another. The amount of surface we use can be dependent on the type of ball that we're drilling or we're cleaning. So a lot of variables come into play, and you can go as deep into it as you want, but the surface level explanation is bowlers want to see their ball hook, and they will do what it takes to see that ball hook. Early days, back in the early days for me, would have been the 90s, we used sandpaper is what we used to change the surface. We had sandpaper and you had polish. That was pretty much it. As we got into the late 90s, early 2000s in our pro shop, we started using Scotch-Brite pads. Burgundy, Scotch-Brite, green, gray. Burgundy was roughly 360 grit. I think the green was around like an 800, and then gray was in that 1,000 to 1,500 range. Maybe a little rougher than that. But you really didn't have a lot of smooth options until Abralon pads, CTD pads, stuff like that started coming out. That's when we got everything between 180 and 4,000. I think even CTD has a 5,000, or someone makes a 5,000 pad now. Yep. When it came to ball polish back in the day, you had polish. That's what you had, just ball polish. And then as we got to the 2000s, you had ball polishes that had different grits in them. You would have factory finish, you could have React to Shine, you could have, I think there was a purple one that one of the brands made that was like glass. Then you've got rubbing compound, which is a little grittier, a little thicker. It puts a sheen on the cover, but it's not shiny. We have so many options now compared to what it was 25 years ago.
Sheen, I haven't heard that in a while.
But in respect to this tournament, that's why you hear us talk about bowlers, or if you come watch or you come bowl, you'll see players hitting their bowling balls with drywall screen or 180 or 320, because they want to see that ball hook.
Emil Williams Jr. along with Daniel Farish. What's your highest finished?
It would have been 2024, lost in the first round of the bracket to Brandon Bone.
I remember that. Say, you made the top 8. I was there. Didn't remember the year, though. So he's got plenty of experience. Has bowled the event. How many times?
Every year since, 2009, I graduated Lindenwood. I didn't bowl that year, so every year since 2010.
Minus this year, of course.
Correct.
So plenty of knowledge, plenty of experience, not just on the lanes, but with this particular tournament.
mean, I do still have bowling balls in the trunk from league last night.
Well, you know, you could have bowled. You would have been fighting, obviously, for basically make sure you're with that one spot within the number.
And I'd have been throwing 14-pound balls, too.
Well, you might have more success. 14 seems to be the new 15 these days.
I mean, coming back from surgery, I can tell you the 14s feel pretty darn good. I did throw 15 for an entire game last night for the first time since coming back from surgery. Woke up a little stiff, a little sore this morning, but like in a good way. So we're getting there. Slowly but surely, not going to rush it. We've seen Josh migrate away from the middle of the lane. He is not comfortable at all with what he's seeing, as most of us wouldn't be based on that very first shot.
Nostalgia, of course, no pattern showing because it's the Bradley. Only a couple people in the building know it. And it was, oh, wow, I did it again.
Even from a straighter angle further right.
Well, my heater is over. But now, really, we're invested in Josh Lewis just trying to get something decent to get off this pair.
Yeah.
Again, yeah, it helps that it happens to be the exact 50 bowlers. I don't know, man. I wouldn't feel confident, right? I'd lose a little bit of confidence, but you'd also anticipate like, it probably won't be this drastic, you know, in the advancers round, right? Because generally speaking, as the tournament goes on, you get more players who want to do something similar with respect to how they're playing the lanes.
That is correct. What we also see that they could counteract that in a way with this event, and we see it, you see it at long format tournaments. Let's just say US Open, for example, you know, they run that pattern 3 times in one day. The more the pattern gets laid down, the truer it plays to what it should play. And as the blocks go on, the players come out with more and more surface. The first US Open I ever bowled, I saw that. Back then, we had one pattern we bowled on for 3 days. It was fresh, burn, double burn, and you caught each squad once. And on day 1 fresh, the guys started around 3rd arrow. On day 4 fresh, or day 2 fresh, they started on 4th arrow. Day 3 fresh, they started on 5th arrow. So they go more surface and they go further left. An event like this, they're going to keep grinding and grinding on their bowling balls. So tonight we'll see as much, if not more, surface on the bowling balls than we saw this morning. In Josh's case, the only concern if I were him that I would have is if I go to game 5 and I see the same thing.
I'm trying to think about, I just don't think we've seen, I wasn't honed in on this pair for practice, right? So I can't say how much and what grits and all of that stuff were out there. But no one's bowling ball has done that until right now. Which means that, you know, whatever he's throwing certainly obviously was matching up on the higher end of the building. And maybe he also could see what was around him better, right? Because the pair jumps are smaller.
Earlier.
So you can see a little bit what's around you with respect to what's happening on the lanes and who's doing what.
Yeah, I had that thought as well. I hadn't seen anything on this pair that led me to believe something like that could happen. For those of you that may be joining a little bit late, Josh, who's going to be up on 12 here, his first shot on lane 12, the ball checked or hooked before the arrows and got 4 off the left. And it was a very dramatic change of motion.
I'm going to catch Trevor Roberts just to our right here briefly. He saw a little bit of mid-lane hook too. See a lot of it. Back to Josh here.
Ball change. Good spare. Josh crossing with Kevin Walter. Kevin clean through 7 frames. Bunch of 9 spares up there. That's nice to see.
Oof. Well, this pair is not being kind, and that's not even remotely saying the least. With that said, next door, Trevor Roberts can get to 204, and Dwayne Stanek working on the double. Unfortunately, missed a couple single pins just to the left there. That's Dwayne, his ball path on the left. He and Trevor, I was talking about during practice, they were working together to try to create some spots. It's interesting watching this pair, what's happened to Josh. It kind of reminds me of college.
In what way?
And when you get to the near the end of a block and you move pairs and you know the track has just been beat up all day. And maybe you caught somehow, right? You were on a pair on another side of the building where the track was still very much playable, right? And I'm thinking about, I'll use us as an example because we were lower ref players in comparison to some of our teammates.
Correct.
So we might still be flirting with the track area because we could. Then you get to that pair.
Good shot.
That tells you you can absolutely not play her anymore. That's what this is reminding me of right now. So drastic. In your face. It's telling you, like, and it's not even telling you, right, there's no warning.
No.
There is zero warning when you get to it, and you just obviously hope to be able to manage it as best as you can. And I think, yeah, it wouldn't shock me now if Josh makes the top 8. Because this is the type of experience that you say, well, I'm not going to allow this to happen again.
Correct.
Right? And obviously, thankfully, too, he's going to be advancing. But I think he would have advanced even despite this game today.
Oh, yeah.
In this squad.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, looking back historically, the cut, that 50th place cut in the morning has hovered anywhere in that minus 120 to minus 150 range. Maybe 150 is a little bit much. Maybe more like 110 to 130. You know, if you were averaging 170, 175, 175 is put you at minus 125. That's kind of what you were looking at. And like you said, he was plus 30 coming into this game. You mark out, you shoot 130. He'd still be well within what the historical number is for that first cut. What is... I went to look and see what 50th was so far through 3. but I don't think it's fair to look at simply because the squad discrepancy in the numbers is bigger than we've seen it in a while. 50 for the morning block, and then Deanna said they were around 80. And Josh just saw the same thing again. But we have, I don't know that we've seen that big of a difference in squad numbers in a while.
It is unbelievable.
Who gets the pleasure of Richie Capadia and Ken Abner will finish on this pair.
Hey, yeah, there you go, Josh. Yeah, yeah. Wow. And he was the leader after all scores were in for game 3. Josh was leading at 6:31. Talking about insult to injury.
Just trying to get off the pair, throw the plastic ball at the 1-3, leave something makeable, and a 5-10.
You're talking about smooth sailing to some degree. And then just boom. I mean, like, Mike Tyson is on 11 and 12 in his prime. Everybody's ready till you get punched in the mouth. And this pair, to no fault of Josh's,
throwing haymakers.
To no fault of his own. Thought he had something going. He was on, he started on 35-41.
Attention bowlers, Brian Wallace. If you have a moment, please come to the desk. Brian Wallace.
Yeah, Josh and E talking right now, and Josh saying he hasn't had that much early read, all morning, and E kind of echoing what we were talking about in that we've been on this pair for 3 games coming into this one, as Kevin's going to finish with a nice, clean, I'm going to give him 190. I think he's going to get at least 7 here. But E echoing our sentiments that we didn't expect that. We haven't seen that drastic of a hook. And to kind of, for now, put a bow on your question about surface and how bowlers use it, this is where too much surface can be a detriment, because it just absolutely chews up the front part of the lane. And so if guys use too much surface early on, a player like Josh comes along, what, about an hour and a half later, give or take? Yeah, about a couple hours later, and just has no warning. And this could happen on any pair in the building. It can happen really at any tournament, on any pattern. If the players in front of you use what might be deemed as too much surface, it can just chew up the lane, whatever part of the lane they're in.
Boy, that was... It's been a little while since I've been taken aback by something I've seen on a bowling lane. Maybe it's the Bradley, right? Bradley's like, some things happen, obviously, and unfortunately, the executive is no longer with us.
Mm-hmm.
And so the Bradley had to let us know. Even though it's in a new venue, I'm still the Bradley. And I just show up whenever I want.
That's one of those moments I wish we would have had the booth cam on for just some reason, because our reactions to that shot.
I'm still shocked. And I think what accentuated it was that it happened in, what was it, the 9th frame?
Yeah, it happened again in the 9th frame.
Yeah, again is what I meant to say.
Yeah.
Obviously frame 1, and then he made a ball change. Good Lord. With that said, Game 5 is on the way, and Josh was leading. That's obviously not going to be the case, but he is headed to, he's going to be out of camera range, unfortunately, because he's going to be on 23. And we'll probably have to go down to 23 just to check it out. Right, just to see.
Just see the first shot. Let's see if it makes sense to him.
Right now we've got that break we talked about. Now we're at the point where the players move the most with respect to 5 pairs. So players are making their way certainly down to this end of the building. And a couple about ready, looks like, over on 5 and 6. Some are actually headed to 7 and 8, which is, of course, in range. Ooh. Man. And Josh almost took me out, bro. Well,
here's his first shot down there. I mean, it hit the head pin.
I feel like he probably is saying that's normal.
Yeah. That physical reaction would lead me to believe that he was like, that's what we expected.
While we have a moment, folks, if you got any questions just about the Bradley general things, we've been talking about, someone had it wasn't necessarily a question, but I could tell there were some questions about Surface that could be answered, or at least given some more knowledge, depending on your experience level and how Surface can help you, certainly. It actually can change a bowling ball from one that you think is not very good to being maybe the greatest bowling ball that you've ever thrown. And vice versa as well. So if you got any questions with respect to what time we begin, B Squad will hit the lanes at 12:30 p.m. We do have one more game in this squad. We're just waiting for our next competitors, and they are slowly making their way to their respective lanes. Looks like Ben D. St. Jean will be with us here on 13 and 14. Looks like that group is ready to go, so we'll go over there and get you started. But the story, because there really wasn't a story. It was just kind of smooth. And then the story became 11 and 12 and Josh Lewis, the leader. And how his bowling ball, as he got to this pair, or 11 and 12 specifically, hooked immediately at the arrows. And then he just battled the entire game, made a ball change. And his ball took off the 7-pin in the 9th frame.
And going back to your point earlier, there's no rerun before B Squad.
Oh.
So I'm not so much worried about the players that hit this pair to start B Squad. I'm worried about the players that hit it in game 2. This isn't going to get any better. That lane's not going to get any better.
Man.
Good shot by Ben to open up this 5th game on lane 13. Flat 5-8, but 8 spare. 8 spare is a good frame. We used to say back in the college days, and back when we were first learning what sports shots were, 9 spare is a good frame. Well, out here, spare is a good frame. The number in front of the mark doesn't really matter.
All right, well, now all of a sudden, let's go through our roster here, because Richie Capadia, and as you said, Ken Abner. I don't know Richie personally, but I certainly know Ken. And I know what he's able to do on the lanes, and so I'll be very intrigued. I think we all are at this point.
For the most part, I'm still seeing quite a bit of surface being used. Thought we might see not as much, I guess, gray going down the lane in game 5.
Also get a chance to see Michael Mossbarger, who was leading after 2 games. He's over on 9 and 10 now. When you say gray, what do you mean?
Well, when you hit a bowling ball with a ton of surface, it gets chalky and it kind of gets that gray tint to it. It could be a blue and red phase 2. It could be a purple and black Black Widow Dynasty. It could be any number. It could be a motive ball. It doesn't matter. You put a lot of surface on a ball, it's going to look gray.
Ooh, good break.
Oh, and if you're in the chat and you're going to bowl an event like this, just common courtesy, if you are going to hit your ball with that dry ball screen of that 180, take some bowling ball cleaner and wipe it off. Nobody wants to see dusty bowling balls all over the ball return. Because then it gets on the return, then it gets in, my finger holes, my thumb hole. Just wipe it off.
Maybe someone was doing it on purpose to try to disrupt your rhythm.
You can't disrupt my rhythm.
It's just
I have no rhythm.
oh, man. All right, Richie's next. Got Matthew and Zach Grove. Looks like maybe, I won't say the only because I don't know that for sure, but one of the few crosses with 3 on a pair now on 9 and 10.
It is the one of 2.
Okay.
The other one's a couple paired to our right on 15 and 16.
You're talking about getting the dust your finger as you watch Mossbarger on your right side of the screen. They mentioned hadn't seen a ton of lefties.
No.
Just the opening shot there to start. So you saw it picture in picture. Okay, so Richie's bowling ball, I don't know what it was, but it was probably about 13, 14-ish. It kind of wanted to hook, and it skated right through that spot. But lane 12 was really the one. Right, it was lane 12 that.
And it was I think a little further in than where Richie just was.
We've seen a little bit of everything on 11 and 12, and that includes plastic. But still will contend that I just didn't see a ton of chalk, but I didn't watch practice thoroughly.
I think Ken and Richie are going to be far enough right on 12. Because when Josh saw what he saw, his ball was left of 20. He was pretty deep. It was left of 20 when it checked before the arrows. Both Ken and Richie are kind of hovering around 15, between 10 and 15. Richie was a name that we mentioned, I think it was after the game 1 update. He had shot, sorry, game 2. He shot 212 game 2. Take a look and see what scores may be up. So still waiting on a few numbers to matriculate in. But say unofficially after 4, Ben DeSt. John, I think that's how you would put John or Gene, I'm not sure which way Ben pronounces it. He is our de facto leader after 4. He is on 13 and 14 at -7. Michael, who was leading, went 229, 227. Then he went 137, 181. So similar to Josh, that's how quickly things can go away from you in this tournament.
That's a 3-time Eagle winner right there. Did he not strike the framework?
4-pin.
Oh, I missed that.
Good shot, 4-pin. Ken so far today, 150, 160, 170, 170. Richie has went, just had 160, 212, 150, 160, and a double to start this game.
If you are joining us late, we are now into game 5 of A Squad here at the Bradley. Top 50 players advance, and it was exactly 50 players who bowled this squad, so everyone does or will advance to tonight's advancers round. Daniel mentioned earlier that he had a note about there seemed to be somewhere around 80-ish players or so when we last heard for B Squad. Good shot, Rich. Good shot. That number certainly may have grown since this morning. Walk-in still being accepted too, by the way, so if you were curious and thinking about it. Important to note, again, the players are bowling or will be bowling on the burn on B Squad. Appreciate my man Daniel Farish making the trip out to hang out today. Appreciate those of you who have watched this morning so far. It is absolutely incredible how just in one game, really just one shot from each Ricky or Richie and Ken here on 11 and 12. And as mentioned, you know, we believe they are a little further right, and maybe not by much, folks, just a couple boards further right, but just enough to get out of the zone that Josh Lewis had the trouble with, where he caught every bit of the chalk that was used to carve up a spot. And from the very first shot on lane 12 when he started game 4, and that unfortunately really set the tone. But the kicker was he made a ball change in the 9th frame, or a little bit before that, threw another shot on lane 12, and his ball actually did worse. Before he got like 4 or something like that on the first shot. Then he got 1, he took the 7-pin off, and that's when you just go, well, that's it. You can have it, 11 and 12. Take my money. Let me check the standings. Looks like they are all in. And just to give you an idea too, right? If we have more bowlers on this squad, Josh would still be in excellent shape to make the number. And so as bad as that game was, he had put himself in such a positive position by being 31 over after 3 that he could absorb the loss of the 116 in game number 4. So I'm going to put up the top 28 on the screen here. Let's put that up right side of the screen here. Let's see who goes first. We'll do that. We'll do it that way. All right, so Ken's going to go first. So there's your top 28 players after 4 games, with our leader, Ben. Right there. There you have it.
Went and checked with Jason. They're still sitting at about 80 for the afternoon squad. And I went down and looked, took a glimpse at our guy Josh. 7 frames in, 5 spares, 2 strikes.
You know, we've both been around bowling long enough to see weird things. And every now and then, right, you might be looking at some results, some standing sheets, and you see that very obscure but rare game that is less than 100. Mm-hmm. And you instantly think, like, and the rest of the games, you know, certainly are would-be normal, quote-unquote, especially for an extremely talented or high-caliber player. And you go, what in the heck happened? But what you watched from Josh is basically how those types of games happen. Just sometimes random, one-off, whatever happened on a pair of lanes. For one game, it was the worst game ever. And then immediately, as we knew he would, he'll get off this pair and kind of get back to what he had been doing.
He's bouncing back, yeah.
Been putting in work here.
Maybe.
Oh.
We're starting to get into that zone of this block. The last 5 frames of the block, I call that as a broadcaster, live streamer, whatever role we may be fulfilling that day. It's I call that the cheeseburger zone.
Jeez.
Because I know I got a cheeseburger and French fries waiting on me.
Cheeseburger zone.
In about 4.5 frames. I know he's listening / watching, so I can say that my guy, BV Brian Valenta, lives in the cheeseburger zone. It's a good dude right there. If you know BV, he also had some shoulder surgery done recently, so
he did.
Prayers to a speedy recovery. Hopefully his is as smooth as mine has went. I expect him to be bowling this next year. Aramis Linville, talented player up in the, or down in the Louisville area with the 24 on his back and the 10 pin on the deck on 13.
Yeah, now I got to check. Is Richie throwing plastic over here?
No, that is a. What is that? It's a trackball. I can see the track logo. One of their higher end ASIMs. So ever since you started covering the tournament, you've been gracious, invited me into the booth, after a qualifying block or something. And I've asked you this every year. You've asked me today. You've asked the chat today. So I'll ask you as I do every year. How would you attempt to attack this pattern?
Back in the day when I saw, what now, right, as you get older, you acquire more knowledge. But in the moment, sometimes thinking back, bowling on high volume or longer patterns, but not really knowing it at the time, right? There was no pattern, or maybe I wasn't as astute, at lane grass, which I'm still not, but I know enough to know what I'm supposed to or should do, quote unquote. But I always used to try two things. One, because I enjoyed the gutter so much, that I felt like I could manipulate anything off the gutter. So if I needed to point it, if I needed to loft it over the gutter, kind of right to left, with a slower ball speed, just trying to hit the head pin. Or, as I talked about earlier, kind of being in the middle part of the lane, somewhere around 15, so I can try to keep my ball toward the head pin, and for the most part, obviously not as extreme from the Bradley perspective, but more or less try to stay out of trouble.
Okay.
Make spares, which, again, I was good at the time, certainly. And so that would have been my mindset for sure. And it would still kind of be the same here.
Okay.
Right? Make spares. Try to leave stuff you can make. The old-fashioned, the old catch the double situation. You think that, but you can't really think about catching the doubles like I was talking about earlier. Because the moment you catch that double, then you're thinking about the next double. And then that's when it doesn't happen. So here it's just make spares. And then let the rest kind of play out as it will. I do think you get to a point in this tournament where there is a time to try to strike. And it's tomorrow morning. Generally, in my experience, because the cashers around you generally have, truly the best of the best at that point. And people are doing similar things. So maybe you can get to the pocket in a bit more consistent way and put together a few strikes or a few more strikes, so that double turns into the rare four-bagger.
Possibly.
Every couple of games.
Yeah.
And you keep yourself around the top 8 in that area. This is me speaking from the watching aspect and also with the understanding of here's how I would have done it, all things considered, being sharp and et cetera and so forth. But I will bowl this tournament before it's all set. That is my goal.
You really need to.
I want to bowl at least one time. Michael Mossbarger finishing is about as strong as he can. And I don't know if he's in any side pots or brackets. And if there's a 3, 4, 5, he might be making himself a few bucks.
All right, so you mentioned that rare four-bagger. Looking at my pen pal stats for the Bradley Open every year since 2020, 97 total games. I've had 16 four-baggers in 97 games. That's how rare they are.
Right. So that's a pen pal. Very nice 237 from Mossbarger to close it out. Oh! I don't think we've seen a messenger. There could have been some, but when you get a messenger in a qualifying squad, you might be off and running.
Was it a Chris?
Yes.
Okay. I crossed with him on Sunday at the Bradley last year, and he was doing that all morning.
Just like that. Ben, our leader after 4. So check him out on 14. Just left the 6, 7, 10. Just you know, try to create an OB for yourself. You know it's an OB out there. But say, you know, my ball can't get right of 14. Let's just throw a number.
That's the way that I treated it at Eastland. Was for me, you know, 12, 13 was the gutter.
183 for Ben.
Good shot there from Ken. Whew.
And it looks like the majority of folks on the high end about done.
Yep, I don't see any color bars down there. 17 and 18 in their 10th frame fill balls, similar to Ken and Richie here in front of us, similar to 3 through 8. Sonic X, that was your spare ball, wasn't it?
It was.
Okay.
That's what I would call peak years right there.
Yeah.
Not a bad 179 to close things out. And RJ, the Pollards, talking about history.
It's a name synonymous with bowling up here.
Family lineage. Boy, Al Runkle. Good shot from Al. He's on 3 and 4 finishing up. A couple more. He's going to be in the 190s. I'm going to do you guys a favor and go ahead and give you the B Squad event link. Again, please subscribe to Boldstream TV. Hit the thumbs up as well. Please turn on your notifications so you'll get alerted to when we go live. And we got plenty of times to go live today.
Archetype, that's what Richie's throwing, by the way.
Got it.
Track Archetype.
So the check-in for the cashers round tonight will be around 5:30. Check-in for tonight will be around 5:30. Thank you.
So cashers round start at 6. They just made an announcement. Check-in is at 5:30, so I would assume.
He meant to say advancers.
Yeah, catchers is in the morning, tomorrow morning. Advancers round.
He almost had me thrown off. I guess we should double check just to make sure nothing has indeed changed. But yeah, advancers, as he talked about, should be at 6. I'll double check actually my times for that. I've got it at 7, so it's going to be at 6, which is great for me. Andy, how long are you staying today?
I'm staying all the way through tonight, through the advancer or through the advancers
sure?
round. Yeah.
Okay.
It's only 2 hours from here to my doorstep in Louisville.
Okay.
And then Steve talked to me into bowling a trio event tomorrow morning at Kingpin. So
perhaps you'll shoot 900.
I mean, we did have a 900 there earlier this week.
Were you bowling league? You bowl there, right?
No, not winter league.
Gotcha.
No. Summer trio league, yes, but you know what Eric Howard did. I mean, it's just described as sick. 900. It's amazing.
One day. Which one's more difficult? Winning the Bradley or shooting 900?
I'm gonna.
It's a tough one, right?
I'm gonna say 900 because with 900, you can be as skilled as you want, and you can wrap a 7, stone a 10. You know, or I guess in Eric's case, wrap a 7, stone an 8 pin. It takes some luck to shoot 900 because the bowling gods can be very mean, even if you lace 36 perfect shots. I mean, case in point, the state record was 890 by one of my best friends, Paul Eston. He set that last year.
I was just saying, right.
He went 290, 300, 300,
Wow.
and he stoned a 9-pin his first frame game 1. It just took that one frame of bad luck. So I'm going to say it's more difficult.
Forgot about that.
It's more difficult to shoot 900, but it's harder to win the Bradley.
Okay. All right. We might put that as a that might be our B squad question. Which one is harder to do? Win the Bradley or shoot 900? Very intriguing. With that said, as we get set to close this squad out, Daniel, please give us your final thoughts on certainly what was an interesting A squad here, and perhaps things we didn't even anticipate.
I'm going to echo, what you said. Despite changing venues, despite changing cities, this tournament showed us on 11 and 12 in Game 4 that it still is the Bradley. It is going to rear its ugly head, and it doesn't care where the tournament's being hosted. It's going to eat you alive.
Yeah, it gives zero you-know-whats.
Yeah, not a single
It gives
one.
zero you-know-whats.
Yeah. Typical Bradley A squad. Excited to see how the B squad guys handle it.
So with that said, before we actually do go off the air, I'll bring it into the booth here. Daniel Farish, Emil Williams Jr. With that said, if you were going to bowl on B squad after what we just witnessed, and if you happen to be watching at the same time that Josh was on 11 and 12, you know that there's a pair that you got to be wary of, but you can say that about every single pair.
Correct.
On some board or some arrow here at Western Bowl today, how would you approach, or what advice would you give B squatters today?
You really got to pay attention to what you see in shadow practice. I mean, knowing that what you see Game 1 is not going to be what you see Game 2 probably, but really pay attention in shadow practice, see how the pair you're on, how it's been broken down, how dry they might be, where the dry might be. It can give you a feel for the rest of the block, but it's going to be really important because we are cutting around 30 players tonight. So these guys and gals who choose to bowl can't just walk in, put their shoes on, and coast. They're going to have to bowl and make spares. So pay attention in shadow practice is what I would say.
God bless you, B squad. It's going to be fun. Not for everybody.
For us.
It'll be fun for us. Not for everybody. With that said, we will bid you adieu for now. One more time before we go, actually, let me see if – all right, so the scores are being entered in. All right, so I'm gonna stay on the air until all scores are in Tournament Bowl, and then we will move aside. But with that 237, Michael Mossbarger did get back to plus 11 to be exact. Other notables right now: Jeff Fair, 968; Sam DeWitt, 935; Ricky Carroll, 928; Josh Lewis, 923. And those actually might be the highest scores, perhaps. I think RJ got into, what did he shoot? 173. He'll be in that zone. Nolan White thought he might have been on his way to something, and of course caught another pair that gave him 160, unfortunately. Just looking at games quickly, just from trends, right? The amount of 200 games in certain games, there weren't that many on the fresh. In fact, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 on the fresh. Seen a few more, which would track certainly in Game 5. 230 from Mossbarger and Jeff Fair, respectively. 212, 213, DeWitt, Carroll. And then, of course, you kind of get what you get in the middle of the game. So far, though, the high game on the squad seems to be 237. And that was Mossbarger's 237 that we just saw.
And that's low for a high game of a squad at the Bradley. That's a low number. But I think B squad, we've got more players. I think we're going to have more talent, and they've got some friction out there. So expect scores to be higher, and they always are higher in the afternoon. But expect them to be more higher than normal for a B squad at the Bradley, with all those factors in play.
It's a good question. Strike on. To my knowledge, that rule does not exist here. Yeah, can you hop pairs? Meaning, assuming they meant can you bowl on different pairs during practice here?
No.
You can only bowl in your starting pair of lanes.
Correct.
All right, a couple more. At least one more refresh. We're almost through. And what we said, though, was so Tracy Lambert at 9-12. He had a nice game 3 that we saw in 9 and 10. But just like yesterday, 9 and 10 was decent. Even though it was talking about completely different lane conditions. But that pair seemed to be just solid overall. I think pin carry was solid. I'm curious what Al Runkle did shoot, though. He was coming off a 210 game. His game 5 is not in yet, but he just got done over on 5 and 6 or 7 and 8.
Scroll up for a quick second. There's the name. Where's our guy Evan?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so after his clean 190, Evan was throwing the plastic ball. After his clean 190 in front of us, he finished out 160, 130. So might have run into some of the issues we talked about that throwing plastic is gonna create. But in safely. See what he does tonight. Maybe a game plan change. Maybe stick with it. There's going to be a lot of thinking and reviewing going on by some of these players after this morning, because they just bowled in the fresh. They're going to see the fresh again tonight.
And the leader after 4, Ben, who ended up splitting, unfortunately, in the 10th frame. He was in the 180s. So he'll be, of course, still near the top of this squad. But because of the 50 players, the amount of players in the squad, 50 exactly, all 50 will bowl tonight. And that will begin at approximately 6 o'clock. They said check in about 5:30 with the adventure squad time beginning at around 6 p.m. Well, I guess I'll check with Jason. While we're here, we'll go ahead and stream the old Desperado. All right, with that said, I think that's all we need to see right now. So we will step aside. We'll see you back here in about an hour and 15 minutes, 12:30 p.m. Eastern. B Squad qualifying will be on the air here on Bowlstream TV. Again, subscribe. We appreciate you tuning in today. What a fun squad it was. Big thanks to Jason Utchwald, Jason Peach, Phil, Deanna, and everybody with the tournament staff. The GM here, Dave Sievers, here at Western Bowl Strike and Spare. Big thanks to Devin Stewart and all of the staff here in the Bowling Center. We thank you to our sponsors, McCorvey's Bowling World, Creating the Difference, your bowling consultant, and, of course, QubicaAMF, and, of course, the Strike and Spare brand itself. We will see you at 12:30 p.m. Eastern. For Daniel Farish, my name is Emil Williams Jr. We say so long for now. This has been a presentation of A Squad qualifying here at the Bradley Open. You watched it live and only on Bowlstream TV.